Hello, my name is Barbara Allen and welcome to another episode of Born to Win. Today we're going to be talking about a very volatile subject, which is domestic violence. You may say that that has nothing to do with you, but your friend may be going through it, and you'll get a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight in order to support them. Our guest today is Abigail Bouquet. She is here to help us with this. She's also a psychotherapist and a pastor. Please welcome to the show, Abigail Bouquet. Thank you for coming, Abigail.
Hi, Barbara. Nice meeting you.
Now, Abigail, what is domestic abuse?
Domestic abuse is any controlling behavior, a degrading, coercive, manipulative, emotional and physical abuse, and sexual abuse as well.
Wow. That's quite a lot, actually, to take in, isn't it?
It is.
So all these different forms, emotional,
degrading, manipulative, undermining, coercive behavior, sexual, emotional and physical abuse.
Wow. What is coercive?
Coercive is when somebody's trying to, manipulate the mind.
Right. So basically make you do something that you don't really want to do.
Absolutely.
Interesting. What are the signs for this? We're talking about, I'm going to go over to relationships. What are the signs for domestic abuse?
You mean, how do I know?
If somebody was going through it, how would they actually know that they are? Because some of these things sounds as though it's underlined.
It is very underlined. And it's very, very difficult to detect, because let's just assume you live with someone and they make you feel everything you do is your fault. Everything that happens in the house, or something happens, or they do something, they would say, it's because of you. That is why I did this.
Wow.
Stuff, simple things like that. Saying things to you, if I leave you, nobody will marry you. Without me, you're nothing.
So, for example, Abigail, the telly's broken. Can't get it to work anymore. Would your partner say, or husband say, it's broken because of you? Or am I going to the extreme? What, can you give an example?
Well, let's just say the telly's broken. He wouldn't necessarily say it's broken because of you.
Right, okay.
But anything that must have possibly happened in the house that let's just say, okay, telly is broken and you've been watching the telly, every day you're sitting by the television, you come from work, and say, you're watching the telly too much. I told you that one day the telly's going to be broken. And there you go. Because you watch it too much. Right.
So they will kind of manipulate you to think that anything that goes bad in the house, or with the children, or with family members, it's because of you.
Yes, and even their own behavior. Right. They would hit you, and they would, let's just assume that there's an argument. And, when you have an argument, you raise your voice. Everybody, is everywhere. And something, he hits you. He then comes back to say, well, you made me to hit you. I wouldn't have hit you otherwise.
Right.
Because you were talking, you were going on, and I kept telling you to stop. You wouldn't stop. So I hit you because you made me to do that.
Wow. So everything is your problem.
It's your problem.
You are the root of the behavior that the other person is dispelling.
It's exhibiting. It's your problem.
Wow.
They're very controlling. They control everything. It depends on a very high scale. I would say, let's say they control money, how to spend the money in the house.
Wow.
This week We're going to spend this and that's it. We're not buying this and that's it. You're not going here and that's it. They have to have a say in everything you do. They have to have an input. So literally what happens is you end up without a voice. Because he says, I have to do it. Shopping, he decides what we're gonna, what we have to buy. The children can't have this, that's it. So it's, controlling every situation. When they have an input in everything.
That goes on that goes on. So
if you want to buy a dress, well, I told you red dresses are nice on you. Why do you want to buy a grey dress? I think you should go for red. So in your own, you would think he cares about me.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. Oh, well, maybe he cares. Maybe he loves me so much that he wants to decide what dress I wear.
Yes, which is nice because we all love compliments,
Absolutely.
You need people to tell you when you look nice, and who best to tell you than your partner or your husband. But when it becomes, that you haven't just got a voice in what you say, and he wants you to buy a red dress. You want a blue dress. Why can't you tell him, I want a blue dress? So when you can't tell your partner what you actually want, then you should know actually you are actually in an abusive relationship because he's controlled your whole being.
And vice versa, a woman doing this exact same thing.
Absolutely.
Telling a man what clothes he should wear.
It comes in very, very subtle and you would never know.
Wow. Why do you think people find it really difficult to talk about it or say that they're going through some sort of abuse? Is it because they don't know that they're going through it, or is it they don't know what to do?
Well, it's for one reason I can give you a whole lot of things, but first of all, people don't like change.
Right.
And, low self-esteem, people are ashamed about it. Especially, I think society hasn't been very, very, I want to use the right word, they haven't been very supportive when it comes to, abuse, because there's this societal expectation, especially if you've been abused in a relationship with a man that is very influential. Or you are very influential. Sometimes it's very, very difficult for you to tell somebody else because then he says, how could you? How you? Allow yourself to be abused as if it's your fault. So people pinpoint as if, how could you have allowed that? They see you in a light as if you've entertained it. And it becomes very challenging for people to actually tell people for the fear of being judged.
So it sounds as though there's a lot of guilt and shame that goes with it.
Absolutely. They're going to judge me. How will they see me? They will think I'm stupid. They will think, all sorts of stuff. And there's a lot of fear. Also, what people might do, the close friends might do. If they find out that I'm being abused, what would they do to this person? And it ranges from quite a lot of stuff. Low self-esteem.
Right.
Immigration, barriers.
Right.
Allows people to be in such situations that it's beyond your control. But it's not an excuse.
Right.
But at the end of the day, unless you've been in an abuse situation, it's very difficult for you to judge anyone. Because let's just assume somebody with an immigration problem that has been abused. They feel the small little favors they're getting from it, they think
grateful.
They feel very grateful.
Yeah, somebody's helping them.
Somebody's helping.
So whatever they're going through, it's irrelevant. Whereas they shouldn't be going through it at all because it's abuse.
It's not an excuse. Disability for one. Somebody's disabled and They feel it is really difficult, for people to talk about it. And I think the more we talk about it in the church, outside the church, and all that, the more people become aware.
Absolutely.
Because it's the awareness. People need knowledge. And I think that would really help for people to come out. But there's a big, the whole shame.
Around it.
A big shame, And I always say people that abuse, the abusers know how to pick their victims very well.
Right. That leads on to my next question. Why are people attracted to abusers? Whether it be female or male, why are they attracted to abusers?
I can tell you now, nobody sets out to go and marry an abuser. I can tell you now. They come in disguise.
Right.
Nobody would say, I'm marrying this guy because he's, no, it doesn't happen. People just find themselves, in such situations. And people know how to mask their behavior very well. So I would say, let's just assume a girl that has a very low self-esteem or grew up, daddy's girl. Daddy's always been there. Suddenly daddy isn't there anymore. So I can tell you that because I can identify with that.
Right.
Yeah, she grows up wanting another daddy.
Right.
To fill that role. And abusers, like I said, know how to pick their victims very, very well. They find you, they come in contact with you, they realize maybe you have very low self-esteem.
They actually would detect that, wouldn't they?
Oh, they do detect that. So they start buying you stuff, things daddy would do.
Okay.
They care for you, nobody's cared for you before. They give you all the stuff that, you would have loved daddy to do for you.
So you're really grieving your daddy's affection and love.
Absolutely.
So they come in and fill that gap.
They fill that gap. And by the time you realize you're just, in the hands of an abuser, because they've watched you, they don't just take or date anybody that is very strong-willed. I know, it doesn't mean you're not submissive, but it's very, very difficult for you to find an abusive relationship where the woman or the other partner is very hey,
confident about themselves.
very confident. They know what they want. They know where they're going.
Yeah.
You can't. It is very difficult.
Welcome back to Born to Win. Today we're talking about domestic violence. Abigail, we were talking about manipulative behaviour. You mentioned in your practice, people do come to you and, affluent jobs, very high profile, and you were saying that manipulative behaviour, somebody always wanting to rescue their partner. And in terms of always wanting to rescue, what do they get back from rescuing all the time?
It's a self-satisfaction for them, not for the other partner.
Right. Because
for them, they're subconsciously doing something that it stems out from childhood.
Right.
So, she would always be there to rescue, do this, do that. And it gets to a point it becomes draining because her own needs, and we all have needs. I have needs, you have needs.
Yeah.
And when it's all about one person, the relationship becomes one-sided. And then suddenly she realized this is not taking me anywhere. I'm getting nothing out of this. My voice is never heard. Nobody hears me. All I'm doing is just holding on. Just holding on. So
in a sense, when you're giving constantly and not receiving anything back, that could be classed as manipulative behavior.
Absolutely. Manipulative. And it could be some, it is absolutely, because she is not aware, but all it is that she's getting nothing out of the relationship.
Right. So it's actually, it would be quite draining.
Very
when
draining.
you think of it. So very draining, always having to give.
Give, and that's why I told you, controllers know how to pick their victims.
Right. So maybe in the courtship, that person could have been a person that was very kind.
Very kind.
Very, very kind, and not really say what they wanted. It was always about the other person.
Her voice is never heard. That is how she grew up. Children must, not be heard. They must
be seen and not heard.
They might be not be. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So and culturally, we have been taught how to adapt to things, and women especially.
Especially, yeah.
So it comes very natural for women to nurture, relationships, especially when a guy is being very controlling. It's almost
innate.
Yes.
Innate. Because, as you were saying earlier, dad's in charge. Usually, dad's in charge of the home. Dad is the well, not so much nowadays, but back in the days it was dad was the breadwinner. But in our culture, dad's the head of the household.
And if you're the last born,
apple of dad's eye.
Apple of dad's eye, dad gives you everything. Suddenly, all the pressure is on mum. All the pressure is on dad, on one person.
Yeah.
So there isn't the attention that dad used to give you anymore. So you've got to find the attention elsewhere.
Somewhere. You've got to fill that void.
You've got to fill that void.
It's empty.
Yes.
So somebody needs to fill it.
You're going and you're looking. Oh gosh, he makes me feel good.
Absolutely.
He buys me everything. I feel at some point one must be able to have a voice in a relationship.
Absolutely.
Not being, overbearing or rude in a way, but everybody's important in a relationship.
Absolutely.
It's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
So when it becomes one-sided, or you're being dictated to what to do, when not to do, what friends to have, and it's quite interesting with emotional abuse. When it comes to friends, they wouldn't tell you exactly not to go and see this friend. Oh, that friend. Every single friend, they would have something to say about.
Something negative.
Something negative. So by the time you realize you're withdrawn from all your friends, oh, she's like this. Oh, he's like that. I don't know. They won't tell you, physically, but by the time you realize you've actually lost a lot of friends.
Because they've said something negative. And because you idolize them, because you do everything for them, they fill that void for you.
Absolutely.
You're going to take note of them.
Absolutely. And they were always there for you. They will give you anything you want.
So it is a slow process, isn't it? It is a slow, going back to this thing.
This is the emotional bit, because it is hard to detect. Hard to detect. Money issues.
Right, because they could be the one that gives you your allowance with to help you with the children, help with the household.
I'm going to give you £10 a week, and that's all you're going to take. We spend this kind of money in the house. Money is controlled. It's all in his account, or all in her account. And she says when to use the money, when not to use the money. Of course, it's important to have, what I call a proper structure when it comes to finance.
Yeah, an allowance. I think if you're living with a partner, it's not about asking him every minute, oh, could I have some money to buy some bread? Or the kid. It's about having an allowance.
Yes.
So you have that allowance that comes in once a week, once a month, whatever way you decide. So
absolutely.
So your self-value is not demeaned because you're having to ask your partner all the time. Yeah. So it's about really looking at yourself.
Really looking at it. Listen, I have come in contact with somebody giving all her wages to her husband. And one might sound, oh, this is, 21st century, it doesn't happen. It is happening in the church, because he's always there. He controls the mortgage. He controls this. So what a better way for me to put all the money in his account, not a joint account. And he finished paying the mortgage. Okay, you can have, take £20. This is my money, for goodness sake. And these things, it's very subtle. This is all part of emotional abuse. Very, very subtle. And it's very difficult to say, because he does everything in the house. Possibly you've got to the point where you're used to it. So, I don't need any money. This is what she said to me. Well, I don't buy anything anyway.
Right, because she thinks, I suppose, it's quite the norm, and because he does everything, that's her way of sort of, I can kind of grasp that in a way, but I think when you really look at it, it does come across as quite controlling. Quite controlling and manipulative. So what about when a male, because you do have lots of males that come in and they give all their wages to their wives. And their wives turn around and give them actual pocket money. This is what you need, because they can't control. They're not very good at controlling money.
That is different.
That's a different story, isn't it?
That is a joint decision.
Absolutely.
That the two of them have decided, listen, you keep the money. You're very good with money. And I think it's a compliment, really, when a guy, because guys are quite,
protective.
Protective and all that. So when a guy says, listen, I think you're very good with money. I'm bad. You take it. I think it's quite nice somehow.
And that's about using wisdom, isn't it?
It's wisdom, yes.
Because bills have to be paid.
Exactly.
So I hear what you're saying in terms of a joint decision. Person's not good with money anyway. It will be lost if the person doesn't give it to you, because you're better able to manage money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Completely different from manipulative behaviour.
Yeah. And I have to be honest, I have come across one or two men that have been abused in a relationship.
Right.
And that is the most difficult thing any man can go through, because they wouldn't say.
Right.
It's easier. I mean, women, we know how to, maneuver ourselves when it comes to talking.
Yes.
And men are seen to be the strong leader in the house. So when he finds himself being abused by his wife, I mean, it is very, very challenging for any man to feel or to find themselves in that situation. And it's even twice as hard for them to admit, that's the right word, to admit that they've been abused by their partner, by their wife.
Yeah.
Because they're meant to be the leaders of the home.
Absolutely.
They're meant to protect, the family. And there is a role reverse. And that can be extremely challenging.
Very, very difficult. Abigail, if somebody, as you said, it'd be very difficult for a man to talk to somebody, for whether male or female going through this abuse, where do they go to get help?
The first thing I say to people is speak to your doctor.
So, sorry, I'm just going to stop you there. So, just say, for example, manipulative behaviour, emotional abuse. Is that something they would go to their doctor
for? Once you become aware, everything is awareness. Once you become aware, I say, when I see clients, with depression and all that, I say, what is your support system? I want to know the kind of support system you have in place, because everybody needs a support system. Most people, don't, but support system could be, do you have a good family support around you?
Right.
Do you have good friends around you?
Right.
Some people find pleasure at work. Spiritual is one of the things.
The church.
The church. Reason why I never mentioned church from the beginning, because as a couples therapist, I see it all the time. I have clients come to me and I ask them, does your pastor know? and they say no.
Okay, that's something we're going to move on to later.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so we're looking at support systems.
Support systems.
So it's having a good support system.
Having a good support system is extremely important. Make good friends.
That you can trust.
Good friends you can trust. And in the neighborhood, because, well, this is emotional, but people that would hear you, good friends that would listen. But I would want us to spend a little bit of time, maybe friends and family, what they can do to, help abuse people. So maybe we'll leave that for now. But a good support system around you would be a good family. You can talk to your family. I'm sure they would understand.
Right. We're going to have to, we're running out of time now. Thank you so much, Abigail, for joining us. You've really given us a wealth of knowledge in terms of domestic violence. I know you're going to be joining us for part 2, which will be showing next week. Viewers, thank you so much for watching another episode, another really informative episode of Born to Win. If you have any problems and you're going through any form of abuse, once again, the number is on the screen. My email address is also on the screen. Please do get in touch with us. We will be happy to advise you or point you to the right direction in order to get help. The Bible says in Proverbs 7:2, you are the apple of God's eye. God wants the best for you. So if you are encountering anything we spoke about today, please do get help. God wants the best for you. And this is something that you shouldn't be, ashamed to actually talk about and seek help. My name is Barbara Allen, and thank you for watching Born to Win.